Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another weather forecast here by Agent Weather Forecast. And in this video, we're discussing Invest 97 and 98L. Actually, 98L could possibly be lower rather soon. And 97L, we're kind of really still wondering whether it could still possibly be out there in Florida, Texas, really, it's really unsure about 97L, but 98L could possibly pose a big threat for Florida, Cuba, kind of like an Irma track. So really monitoring that very closely. National Hurricane Center just updated just a couple, just not too long ago here as well. So really monitoring as these could possibly be named rather soon. So that's what we're going to be watching out for. We're looking at the conditions, timing, track, strength, how strong can it get, who can be a threat, all of that. But as you guys can tell, I did get new glasses, which is why I actually posted this video late. So I do apologize for posting a lot later than I usually do. But before we get into the video, please subscribe if you're new and hit the post notification icon so we guys can show your awesome support. Without further ado, let's get into this tropical forecast. In this slide, we're looking at the National Hurricane Center here, and as you see, now we have a high risk for development in the next 48 hours for both storms here, or both systems. Here's now 98L at an 80% chance for development within the next 48 hours. So this could very well be named Laura, possibly Laura, rather soon. I think 97L might get named after, so that means 97L could, if it gets named rather soon, possibly Marco. As you see, though, 30% chance still for the next 48 hours. So, as you see, still really a very lower threat here for development, let's just say that, but 70% chance for the next 5 days. So I think this could definitely be named Laura for sure, really. I mean, it has an 80% chance in the next 48 hours, has a very good look on RI here, trying to really connect here. But as you see, this cone has moved, or this not cone, but this circle for potential development has moved north. So that is going to be some big potential threats for possibly the Florida coast, maybe. We could see likely an Irma-like track with 98L. We definitely have more information and a better idea what 98L could do. But 97L, really, 97L is all over the place. Like, I mean, it could either go through Central America and go to Mexico, or it can go like this in the Panhandle. Like, there's a huge uncertainty of 97L. But all we know is that there is a 70% chance for development in the next 5 days. So this has a high chance of forming in the next 5 days here. And then 98L has a high chance for both 48 hours and 5 days. So in the next 5 days, this has a high chance of forming, possibly most likely to Laura. Also, this is actually just updated 35 miles an hour. Actually, both these disturbances are 35 miles an hour. So they are just so close to being tropical storm force winds. So these could be named rather soon here. So here's a look now at satellite imagery here on 97L. As you see, it's definitely falling apart compared to what it looked like a couple hours ago here. Actually, it kind of blew up when I was actually not home. But definitely seeing that convection's falling apart. It could be moving too fast. I mean, it's way past the Lesser Antilles, getting awfully close to Venezuela and Colombia, getting very close to the coast there, South America. So, I mean, it's getting pretty close to land. I mean, Colombia's right there. Venezuela's right there. I mean, it's getting pretty close. I mean, it could be that this that 98L is so close that it's pushing an effect on 97L, pushing it southwest. So I think 97L definitely seems like the concern has gone down a lot and may or may not just say the tropical storm. Who knows really, but as of now, not looking good here whatsoever. Let's check out actually a look at 98L. This is actually a completely different story here. 98L is looking pretty good. So based on what I've heard is that, or what I've seen here, and what the National Hurricane Center is showing is that this low pressure is actually between these two blobs. Like this, what they're saying is this is like, it's only a part of 98L here, but it's definitely trying to close off here as you see it. I mean, it's looking pretty good. What they're saying is this low pressure is right here, and that this is all like the outer bands and all like that. This is not Invest 98L itself. Like that's only a part of it. So it seems like this low pressure right here, what I've seen here, what I've noticed with the National Hurricane Center, that's what they're saying here, and they're saying this is all one big system. I mean, first I thought this was just 98L, like this was it itself, but apparently this is a massive invest here with the low pressure right there, apparently, and that it's all this. Like, it just needs to wrap around. I mean, according to that, it just has to wrap around here, and it's a pretty close system. I mean, that's what I've really heard there. Let's check out True Color. You can kind of see how big this invest is. Let's just say that. I mean, if that's really true, this is a massive invest here, a very broad area of low pressure. If this actually can load for me, that'll be perfect. All right, let's just go here so you guys can actually see what it kind of goes. All right, as you see, they show this like this whole thing being an invest, and this is low pressure, and it's all this as an invest. Like that's what the National Hurricane Center is saying. Really, I would have thought it was just this alone, but apparently it's connecting on the top. So that's why they're saying the low pressure is actually right here in that nice cloud cover. I mean, it does make sense. That's very variable for to have that low there. But I mean, this maybe will be a massive invest. But it seems like there is trying to get some cloud cover here, so it could be really trying to close off here, which can actually help it strengthen. As you see, it was wide open here a couple hours ago. Now it's really starting to close off with a lot of cloud covers getting on there or in there. So that's actually something. It actually just strengthened to 35 miles an hour not too long ago. So that could be a sign that it's trying to close off here, and it seems like it is. It seems like this whole thing right here is Invest 98L. So it's a massive invest, actually. I was pretty shocked when I figured that that's what the National Hurricane Center was showing that low is. But that means it's a massive invest. So if it closes off, which it's kind of doing rather now, this could be a tropical storm rather soon, whether it's possibly today at 5 o'clock, whether it's today at 8 o'clock. So this maybe could be a named storm. I know it's only an invest, and it's still the next phase tropical depression, but we've had times where it kind of skips, and maybe it could be a tropical depression. I mean, it has 35 miles an hour now, so this could be a tropical depression. And the next update we will see here, but this could be named within the next 24 hours. That is actually pretty likely here, especially since it has an 80% chance for the next 48 hours. So here's a look now at the national, or the SST. I don't know why I'm saying that. So obviously there's actually some concerns here if this does like an Irma track. So it's way up there in the NDR, and it's expected with some models. It's expected based on general to possibly go north of Hispaniola, Puerto Rico. It's supposed to go north of those areas, and that's possibly that's kind of what it's showing there. Possibly like that. That's kind of what most models, or a lot of models, including Icon, are showing here as a hurricane. So we can very well see like an Irma-like track, but a little bit more to the north here, with the system kind of going up there, avoiding a lot of land, or they can show going just north of these areas and then going like that. That's kind of what some models are heading towards. But definitely, if you're in Florida, you definitely could definitely see impacts or effects for sure, especially if the system's gonna be so massive. I mean, this thing's a massive invest, and that's a pretty impressive size for an invest. I think that's pretty impressive here based on I didn't think it was actually that big. Thing is, we do have possibly the effects with this mathematically, and really how it works is if these systems Invest 97L and 98L are so close, and 98L just gets stronger, the influence will actually push 97L more to the southwest, which is actually possibly why it's going more and more southwest, closer to the South American coast. So that could be actually an influence, which means it could very well actually just do a Gonzalo. It can literally just do a Gonzalo here. 97L could be another bust. Really, it could. Or I mean, it could. I mean, if that's really the influence on 98L, where it kind of moves here, very, very strong. I think even an Icon. I think Icon even shows as being a Cat 1 over Puerto Rico, I believe. So that this is going to influence 97L. That's like right here to just boom plummet into the southwest. If not, that's probably just going to go into Nicaragua, Honduras, something like that, instead of Mexico. But definitely some concerns if 98L does actually head towards the Bahamas, Cuba, Hispaniola, all those areas, including Haiti, Puerto Rico. You guys are definitely in the potential threat here for 98L. I know a lot of people are just talking about Florida, but really it's just for 98L. It's actually even the Eastern Gulf could possibly have a threat with this. Really, it's kind of undecided here, but if you're in this square really, or this general area, I think you're definitely in a potential for a landfall. So not just Florida, it's obviously a lot of the Caribbean. So people cannot forget about the Caribbean. Do not forget about the Caribbean here. But yeah, that is the SSTs. Pretty favorable conditions alone there. Really warm waters. Here's looking at the tracks here for 98L. As you see here, a lot of models are now showing this. As you see, a lot of them are showing going north of Puerto Rico. Like I said, this most likely will go north of Puerto Rico, like an Irma, but more north. But you see a lot of models are agreeing that this will actually go north of the Leeward Islands here, and not towards like a 97L did, or like a Gonzalo. And as you see, though, possibly gonna go through there to the possibly more like a western turn there, like a straight up west. And as you see, they're guiding it towards Florida. As you see, we have a couple models getting it towards over Cuba, which will possibly maybe mean that it'll head into the eastern Gulf, because the stronger the storm gets, the more north it's going to go. So if it avoids Cuba, if it avoids Hispaniola, if it avoids Puerto Rico, the more stronger it gets, and that means a bigger threat for Florida, whether it's Miami, Homestead, the Key West area, the Keys, Jacksonville. I mean, I feel like a lot of Florida is at a potential risk, whether it's even Pensacola. So if you're in Pensacola, I wouldn't really get prepared, but I would be watching the news or even watching my videos to see whether there's any updates. No matter, like, anyone, if it's anybody that you watch, whether it's your local news or anything, I will still keep in mind, even if you're all the way in Alabama. But a lot of, really, I think the cone really is like, this is basically the cone here. I would probably kind of gear the cone to something like this, so it kind of goes possibly up like this. And this will be my cone. This will possibly be the cone here. So definitely big threats. I wouldn't say big threats. I think big concerns for potentially the Florida area, Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic. I think definitely Puerto Rico possibly will avoid a direct landfall based on this, but could definitely get a lot of effects here. So obviously it's still around a week from landfall. I believe just under a week here from landfall, but I see definitely no one showing out of sea. Not a single model showing this getting out to sea here. Whether it's making landfall in the Lesser Antilles, whether it's making landfall in the Dominican Republic, or whether it's making landfall in Florida. But definitely concerns. U.S. is definitely in the picture for 98L for sure. Let's check out an early life cycle track here for 98L. Another track here. As you see, if I move my webcam there, you can kind of see that main models are kind of leaning towards going north of Puerto Rico. And actually, that means a bigger threat for Florida. Because that means it will be avoiding land. That means it possibly will avoid weakening a good bit, because Puerto Rico is a pretty mountainous area. A lot of Hispaniola, a lot of the Caribbean is pretty mountainous. A lot of people think just beach, but I mean, there's some really high elevations here in Puerto Rico. Here, a lot of mountains. So this could definitely take this down a good bit. But if it avoids Puerto Rico, if it avoids a lot of land, and the only land that hits before Florida's Bahamas or Cuba, I think definitely that's going to be leaning toward a bigger threat, because that means more of a northern turn trend like that, which means a bigger threat or a more guaranteed hit for Florida, whether it's Miami, West Palm Beach, whether it's all the way to even Jacksonville. Really, a lot of people are in play for this, but as you see, this is basically the cone based on this early cycle. So even the Leeward Islands, Windward Islands, U.S. and British Virgin Islands there as well, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Haiti, even St. Parish, all those areas there. You guys definitely want to keep this in mind here, but this could very well actually definitely affect the northern northward Leeward Islands and Windward Islands, and possibly just go north of Puerto Rico. Just go north. When I mean going north, I mean like a couple miles. I mean like 20 miles north of Puerto Rico. We still have one or two showing direct landfall Puerto Rico, but I think since it's going to be so warm this general 3 days before affecting the Caribbean, that it could very well kind of get a good bit of strength, and that's going to kind of lean it toward like a little slight west-northwest turn to avoid the big island of Puerto Rico, in the Hispaniola area and all of that. So here's looking at the GEFS tracks and minimal center pressure here, and as you see here, they do expect this to get up to 1,005 millibars. I mean, the thing about GEFS, it tends to under forecast storms. They really do. I think this could be well below 1,005 at this point. But as you see, very interesting here. They do get this up to possibly 982 millibars before affecting Florida. Now, as you see, we zoom in, you can see this actually, this black line goes right over kind of just north of Miami, like Fort Lauderdale. So I mean, that's a big city. As you see, it does, since it's strengthening, it does do more of a northern trend turn, and then it does that. So this could do like what Irma was supposed to do, except Irma actually went at the crest, but affecting like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Homestead, those areas of southeastern Florida, and this could actually affect a lot of Florida, especially if it's a pretty strong storm. 982 millibars could actually be a Category 2. So, I mean, Category 2 alone. And if GEFS tends to under forecast storms, and it should possibly be in a Category 2 already, imagine what it could be if they have a history of under forecasting storms, and they already show it being a Category 2 for landfall. If they have a history for under forecasting, does that Category 2 also count as under forecasting? Could it be a Category 3? That's kind of the questions we're keeping in mind. Too far to tell strength exactly, but as you see, we kind of have that black line, the averaging out, and that's going straight, almost straight through Miami there. Maybe northern Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, and then we have a couple, 3 actually showing the panhandle. Like I said, I wouldn't rule out the panhandle. It shows like up to like a decent hurricane for the panhandle near Apalachicola and Panama City. So I think definitely as far as Pensacola up to all the way to Miami to Jacksonville, we have to keep in mind. So a lot of the Florida coast has to keep this in mind. And I think a lot of the southeast as well, the Georgia coast and Carolinas coast, I think you guys also have to keep this in mind. But if anyone that lives in the U.S. has to keep this in mind, it would be recommendation of southeastern Florida. But Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Bahamas, Cuba, you guys also have to keep this in mind as well. Let's take a look now at the model intensity guidance here. And as you see, we have a lot of models actually. This is actually on 98L. And as you see here, this is refreshed. They do have this getting to possibly being a tropical storm within less than the next 12 hours. So, I mean, this could be lower rather soon. I mean, as early as 11 p.m. tonight, maybe 2 a.m. tomorrow. And really every single model shows this being a tropical storm before 24 hours. So definitely could be very well named extremely soon. And we do have 4 or 5 models getting to Cat 1. So obviously they can't go to like Category 3 already and all like that, but whether they can, but not all of them. But as you see, definitely going to be named. I mean, based on this, could definitely be named within the next 24 hours. So could be named, and I think as we get closer to this, as this gets named, the more these models get to Cat 1. I think this could definitely, in my opinion, be a Category 1. I think without a doubt this could be a Category 1. Category 2 seems likely to me. I think Category 2 also seems pretty likely, but that is that here. So let's go and check out now also an Invest 97L. So here now Invest 97L track, we only have 2 models on this because I think they're all focused on 98L really, and also Genevieve, Category 4 in the Eastern Pacific. As you see, only 2 models, and those show it actually going kind of southwest. I mean, the AEMI should be going southwest because of 98L's influence, but then going up north and then through the Yucatan Peninsula. And we have 2 models now possibly heading for Texas. So Texas, you guys could be seeing a system. It could maybe be rather weak. I mean, the weaker this is, the more likely it goes to Texas, so or the Western Gulf. I see a lot of models going to the southwest because the influence of 98L, and then turning back north into Yucatan Peninsula and to other areas there, Mexico, other areas of Central America as well. Let's check out now what we have here for minimal center pressure and also timing tracks. We still have the CMC model, I believe this is CMC here, showing this still hitting the panhandle. Let's actually refresh. Okay, actually it just refreshed now. So now the black line's actually showing this going toward New Orleans. That's very interesting, but look at the tracks. We have tracks going all the way to Mexico and some going all the way to Florida. So this actually has the whole Gulf Coast can see 97L, like literally from the Bay of Campeche all the way up to the Key West area. We can have influence. It's mental. I mean, 97L is so unpredictable at this point. I mean, it's gone all over the place. As far as Mexico to Florida, that's a big gap. That's including every single Gulf state or every single Gulf country or state is seeing a track there, whether it's Florida, even Alabama has one, Mississippi has one, Louisiana has one. Texas has one, even Mexico has one. I mean, this is absolutely mental. It's so unpredictable here, really. We have a lot more potential, or a lot more knowledge with 98L than 97L. Look at this. Could be named as early as 36 hours. Could be named as late as 84 hours. So I think chances for this being named soon have kind of diminished, but it has gone up to 35 miles an hour. So that's something we need to keep in mind. And then one gets us to a category 2 here, but I think tropical storm seems reasonable. And look, keep this in mind. It goes and then it weakens because it goes over, I believe, the areas of the Yucatan Peninsula, and then starts strengthening back up to tropical storm force winds because of the warm Gulf waters. So here's a look at the conditions here. Moisture, as you see, 97L is kind of really losing some moisture there. It's kind of spent a lot of moisture, but 98L on the other hand, definitely getting some moisture there. I mean, it seems very favorable here. We have a lot of moisture heading to the Gulf here, and that's going to really help the system kind of get its act together. Shear shouldn't be an issue. The whole MDR is really favorable at this point, like all the way to Panama to Africa. We have a very favorable MDR, main developed region there, because that shear is really dying down here. But the issue is there could be some really high amount of shear there from influence of 98L for portions of the Gulf Coast there. But really, this could actually kind of minimize as those systems go through there as well. And then really the most important part, we kind of want to look at MLSP, what models show. GFS really, I mean, GFS has really been pretty awful on general, not just this year, but they've been pretty bad so far with both Invest 97L and 98L. They've really kind of been unreasonable. As you see here, I mean, GFS shows 98L going south of Dominican Republic. That definitely wouldn't happen. Not a single track even shows that. And then GFS kind of takes those towards Texas, which I don't think both go to Texas. I don't know why I just clicked that. Anyways, so let's go back to the Northern Atlantic. And let's go and check out the Icon. So let's see what the Icon shows. Icon has been one of the most consistent models on 98L, showing actually possibly a major hurricane or hurricane landfall for Miami based on the Icon. As you see, Icon showing this strengthening pretty rather fast once it goes towards the Leeward Islands there. 1,008 millibars, 1,005, 1,004. Like, it's really getting its act together at that point. 1,001, 999 over the Hispaniola area. Let's check out this out here. And watch, it's only 1,000, but watch, it kind of really drops a lot. 996, 991, 988, 985, and 970, guys, going straight up Miami Beach here. I mean, that's definitely something to keep in mind, going straight over Miami Beach. This is going to really affect a lot of areas here. I mean, it's going to be possibly 970 millibars for landfall. I mean, this could very well be a category, based on Icon, a category 3 here. And as you see, Icon shows us hitting Texas, 97L. But look at the influence. 98L is definitely going to influence and push 97L towards Texas. So definitely something to keep in mind here. Check out ML10 winds here for this. As you see, definitely showing a pretty strong storm there. I mean, well over 90 miles an hour there. And look at that. That's pretty impressive here. Obviously, this probably won't happen 100%, but definitely, I mean, it seems reasonable. I think the Icon and CMC have been overall this year kind of the most accurate models. Really, they have. So, I mean, it's something to keep in mind. I feel like Miami definitely has a chance for a direct landfall for 98L. And it could be definitely a hurricane. I think hurricane's definitely very possible, whether it's a Category 1, Category 2 seems possible. Category 3, I think I wouldn't be surprised if it even becomes a Category 3 here. Even the tracks, MLSP show it, and even Icon shows it here. Let's check out what the NavGem shows here. So you see NavGem shows going 97L, going to possibly up to Central America. And then look what NavGem is showing there, possibly showing this storm now heading for the Bahamas and maybe even Florida at 990 millibars. So NavGem, actually showed it going like this. That's what NavGem showed. So that's actually improvement. Now it's going like this here. That's actually some big improvement. But look what NavGem shows for 97L, possibly hitting Cancun and then going straight up for New Orleans and possibly even Mississippi. That's actually what the CMC shows as well. So that's actually very interesting here. Very interesting what the NavGem is showing. Let's check out the CMC as well. CMC here. As you see here, CMC there shows that storm, possibly hitting Central America. Look what CMC is showing. A very big, strong system there at 984 millibars, doing an Irma track, and boom, strikes the Key West at a 972 storm, 971. And look at that. That's what CMC is. So CMC icon kind of shows this, kind of going like that. And then this is what CMC is showing, kind of like this, just south of it. So, I mean, Florida could definitely see impacts for sure. It's not a landfall. Look at that monster storm based on the CMC there, and then maybe making a second landfall for New Orleans, kind of like a Katrina situation here. Almost exactly Katrina there, but Katrina went further in Miami and Homestead there, but definitely something to keep in mind here. So guys, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and bye guys.